the Gold Cup, CONCACAF Gold Cup. We are the defending champions, and the groups have come out, boys. And we are in with Jamaica, Nicaragua, and there's a playoff winner. Given the teams in there and given the quality that I've seen from them before, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be Curacao, which is actually pretty difficult. I think Curacao can make people...
Curacao.
Sorry, Curacao. I think they're tough. I remember playing against any of the Caribbean nations, but it's never an easy game. And if you don't score on them early and they start to get a little bit of leaf, those games become very difficult very quickly. But thinking about this group, Heath, I'll come to you. It's looking manageable, though. When you look at Jamaica, if they bring their full roster, they got some ballers that can absolutely play us off the field. And actually, we suffered our biggest upset in Gold Cup history back in 2015 when Jurgen Klinsmann was in charge, and we lost to Jamaica 2-1 in the semifinals. So they have a little history of pulling off upsets in this one. And if we get second in our group, we might face Mexico in a semifinal instead of the final like everybody wants. Your thoughts on this group?
Well, yeah, when you look at, just to speak on Jamaica, if you look at just the fact of what the opportunity is with the 3 host countries already ruled out for 2026, you've got to be deep in the recruitment game, right? Of figuring out who wants to be part of that project and going after your top players. This could be the first opportunity to roll them out in official competition. I don't know who those players are going to be, and what the ability to actually win those players over are, but that in itself is going to be a danger for CONCACAF. Fortunately, the U.S. doesn't have to go through qualifying and deal with them there. But in this one, we could see some high quality players. It just depends whether they bring them. It depends kind of how much of a team they play as. We saw it took a while in qualifying for them to get going as a team, get some of their best players in to qualifying, and it was a little bit too little too late. And then the preliminary, I haven't looked to see who that could potentially be for that 4th game, but it's a pretty good matchup. It's just you just hope that U.S. and Mexico win their groups and they'll have to face each other until the final.
Now, Charlie, Anthony Hudson, who's still the interim manager, but clearly the guy until we hear otherwise, had this quote about the Gold Cup draw. We feel we have a really healthy, strong player pool because we have, just to give some context to what he's saying, we have the Nations League semifinal and potentially the final prior to this tournament. And then he continues to add, this Anthony Hudson, we are just focused on making sure that we put out a squad, a team that we feel that can win the next game, the next tournament, as we demonstrated in 2021 very well. It's something that we believe could work for us going forward. And he's referencing us winning the Nations League final against Mexico in Denver. Heath was there on the ground. Crazy game and very memorable, with the most famous photos in U.S. men's national team history with Christian shushing the crowd. And then going on to win the Gold Cup with a completely different team for the most part and beating Mexico again in the final. So do you think we'll do that again? Because Anthony Hudson was the assistant to Greg during that process, Chuck. And I wonder if he's even going to be in charge when this tournament rolls around.
I have a feeling he'll still be in charge for this Gold Cup, or for the Nations League. But I'm not so sure about the Gold Cup. I could see them making a hire as a sporting director and then the GM. And then maybe a swift hire manager by the Gold Cup. So he's right about one thing, and I would say that's the talent and the depth of that talent within the U.S. men's national team. And you have a lot of young up-and-coming players who are in Europe, who have gotten minutes, who I think are ready for the next step the following season, next season. And you have players who are, you need to push a little bit. They need to be in good club situations and are still yet to fulfill their potential, but gained a lot of experience this past year with World Cup qualifying and the World Cup. So, the expectation is you win. Whether he's the manager or the next manager, you got to get back to being the top dog in CONCACAF. And right now it's Canada. Canada are the number 1 team. And people just have to swallow that pill. They finished top of the World Cup qualifying campaign. They have the biggest player in Alphonso Davies right now in CONCACAF. They are the top team until they're beat in Nations League, and then you got the Gold Cup. So I love the fact that U.S., Mexico, and Canada feel it's open for this next round of who's going to be the team to beat for the next 4 years.
So, as a reminder, FIFA rankings came out recently, and the Kings of CONCACAF, known as Canada, are currently ranked 47th. We're 13th.
They got
Mexico's
battered at the World Cup. Are we not counting that for anything? Like, I agree with Charlie. Like, the U.S. finished, what did we finish? Third in World Cup qualifying behind
Yes.
Canada and Mexico,
did.
but we still won the last Gold Cup. We got out of our group. So I think there's still some argument to say the real kings of CONCACAF control that whole narrative to be the king of CONCACAF. I think Canada had their moment. They qualified for the World Cup. They were the short-term king of CONCACAF by doing so.
And as it turned out, they were in the group of death, by the way.
They were. It was a really tough thing, but they did have situations that they didn't do. They could have done better with. I'm not saying that they could have done that much more. I'm saying that, but if they do something in Nations League now, if they do something in the Gold Cup, then I think we've got a real narrative for Kings of CONCACAF because
which is nice.
I just got triggered. All right, deep housing.
Yeah, get him, Charlie.
It's a double trigger award today for Charlie Davies. What did he say? Tell us the comment. All
right. So I'm talking about Canada is the team to beat in CONCACAF right now. They dominated World Cup qualifying. They are the best team in my eyes right now until the U.S. and Mexico supplants them. And right now, Mexico is the third best team. The U.S. are the better team, and U.S. have to beat Canada. The Nations League is set up to show who the best team is right now in North America. It's a U.S.-Mexico semifinal, which I'm pumped about. The U.S. are the better team at the moment, but they don't have a long-term future with the manager and a plan, which could work against them in this Mexico side. And Diego Coca hasn't inspired anyone yet. I don't think he's really inspired the players yet. So U.S. have to beat Mexico. Canada have to obviously take care of Panama, but a U.S.-Canada final, that's what I'm looking forward to. And Deep Hauser, much as it might be hard for you to admit, but Canada are the real deal. They are the best team right now, based on results. Maybe not overall talent, but based on results right now, their primetime players have stepped up in the big matches in North America. Maybe not
in World Cup qualifying. That's what he's trying to say. In Gold Cup, Nations League.
Yeah, they're both
World Cup,
MIA in those.
Okay.
But World Cup qualifying.
And then in the World Cup, they had the group of death. And their coach kind of put them in a bad situation against Croatia. So I as bad as the World Cup results were, I wouldn't put that much stock into it that you're going to say all of a sudden they're not even in the conversation. And I'm
saying they're not kings.
Expect that we should put that type of pressure on our group, on this generation, to push for more.
Okay, I don't think Charlie's triggered everybody, so that's fun. We got him, Andy and puts out a comment. Me and Deep Hauser today, handshake, because they both triggered Charlie. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
With Canada's group in the Gold Cup, they got Canada, Guatemala, Cuba. And then there is a playoff between Trinidad and Tobago, Guadeloupe, Guyana, and Grenada. So we'll see who goes through there. Group C, Costa Rica, Panama, El Salvador. Then a playoff, Martinique, St. Lucia, Suriname, Puerto Rico. Group B is Mexico, Haiti, Honduras, and always tough in the CONCACAF, Qatar is in the Gold Cup as well.
We're the 42nd team in CONCACAF now.
Yes.
We have 41 nations. Now we got 42.
We got 42. No, apparently there was a deal in place that they were going to be part of the 2 consecutive Gold Cups prior to them joining before the 2022 World Cup. So the last one. And they were pretty good. I actually thought that they enhanced the tournament and had some good players, but didn't turn into any success at the World Cup itself.
They played a nice style.
They did. They actually went out and tried to play, which I appreciated. Didn't really sit in and make it tough at times. But so that's the Gold Cup groups. It looks like, to what one of you said earlier, that if the U.S. and Mexico both win their groups, then they're on a pathway to not face each other in an earlier round and hope to get to the final, which is what everybody wants, at least maybe from a broadcasting standpoint. And, anytime there's a big game with a lot on it, it's always a lot of fun. So that should be pretty good. I guess the next question is to follow up on this. What kind of roster do you think we're going to see? And let's just say Anthony Hudson's still in charge, and he's clearly going to follow the blueprint from 2021. So a lot of the names that we're going to see in this upcoming U.S.-Mexico game, which is the 75th time that these nations have faced each other, maybe we'll get 76 here. And, we're going to get 76 in the Nations League semi, but maybe we'll get 77 in the Gold Cup final. I think we're going to see a lot of familiar faces here, Heath. that we're seeing right now in this friendly, because that's kind of what we saw the last time around.
Yeah, maybe not this deep, I think, into our player pool, but I do think we'll maybe see some carryover from Nations League to the Gold Cup, players that need that, right? And, a Serginho Dest being an example of somebody in this one that I think could, until they figure out the club situation, or players that want to be in this situation better than their current club environment, I think we could see some of that. And I'm just curious, thinking about that window of time where you'll start to see, like, the Premier League's going on tour this summer. Individual teams are coming and playing in like a multi 6-team tournament. You've got Leagues Cup happening during that window. You've got it is like, you will never see a not busy summer where like European teams just came to tour again. And so I'm wondering what's the best environment for a lot of those players. But I think we could see a hybrid, maybe what I would think is closer to our B team versus a little bit deep. I'm not saying this is our C team for this game, but it's deeper into our roster that I think we could have a mix of A and B for that second tournament.